That is caveated with, I hope we don't go back to some of the practices in the past.
The mahogany doors slammed so hard the portraits shook. 30 years of carefully buried truth exploded in 30 seconds. What Camilla confessed behind closed doors just ignited the most devastating royal crisis since Diana's death. The emergency summit. The emergency meeting was scheduled for 3:45 p.m. on January 23, 2026. No one was prepared for what would happen next. William's knuckles were white against the leather armrest as he sat in the private conference room at Clarence House. The air felt suffocating, thick with secrets that had festered for decades. Charles looked shattered, his face ashen with betrayal. Camilla sat across the table, her usual composure completely gone, tears streaming down her face. "You need to tell him the truth," Charles said, his voice hollow. "All of it." Camilla's hands trembled violently. "I can't. Please, don't make me. He deserves to know. God knows Diana deserved to know." William's jaw clenched. "Know what?" "Someone tell me what the hell is going on." The silence stretched impossibly long. Outside, London carried on, oblivious. Inside this room, the foundation of everything William believed about his mother's death was about to crumble. Camilla finally spoke, her voice breaking. "The night your mother died, August 31st, 1997. I need to tell you what really happened. What I did." William's blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" "The paparazzi chase. Everyone blamed them, blamed the driver, blamed the circumstances." She sobbed. "But there was a call made that night. A tip to the photographers about where Diana would be, what route she'd take, exactly when she'd leave the Ritz." William stood slowly, his face draining of all color. "No. I was desperate," Camilla whispered. "Your father and I were still secret. Diana was threatening to go public with information about us, about payments we'd made to keep people quiet. I just wanted to create a distraction. I thought if the paparazzi got photos of her with Dodi, it would shift the narrative. I never thought." Her voice broke completely. "I never imagined it would end the way it did." The room tilted. William's breathing became rapid, shallow. Everything. Every funeral, every memorial, every carefully constructed narrative about that night. It was all built on a lie. His mother hadn't just died in a tragic accident. She died because of Camilla's manipulation. He didn't say another word. He simply stood, walked to the door, and with a force that echoed through the entire house, slammed it so hard the security team came running. The storm had just begun. The web of deceit.
Yeah, so I think, speaking personally from me,
By 6 p.m., William was in Windsor, locked in his private office, Catherine sitting across from him in stunned silence as he relayed everything. "She admitted it," William repeated, his voice hollow. "After 29 years, Camilla finally admitted she's responsible for my mother's death." Catherine's face was pale. "William, if this gets out, when this gets out," he corrected sharply. "Charles knows. I know. How long before someone else learns? Before Camilla's guilt becomes too much and she confesses to someone less discreet?" His phone buzzed. James Whitmore, his most trusted aide. William put it on speaker. "There's more," James said without preamble. "I've been digging since you left Clarence House. The call Camilla made that night wasn't her only contact with the paparazzi. There are phone records showing multiple calls between her personal line and a photography agency in Paris throughout August 1997. She'd been feeding them information about Diana for weeks." William's hands clenched into fists. "She stalked my mother. She hunted her. It appears so. And there's something else. The driver, Henri Paul. His financial records show a deposit of £30,000 2 days before the crash. The money came from an offshore account linked to a shell company. I'm still tracing it, but the timing is suspicious." "Are you saying Camilla paid him?" "I'm saying someone paid him, and the money trail leads uncomfortably close to people in Camilla's orbit. I can't prove a direct connection yet, but William, this goes deeper than just a phone tip." Catherine stood, walking to the window. "If this comes out, it won't just destroy Camilla. It'll destroy the monarchy itself. People will question everything. Whether it was really an accident, whether there was a conspiracy, whether the entire investigation was a cover-up." "Good," William said coldly. "Let them question. My mother deserves the truth, even if it's 29 years too late." "Your father," James began. "My father chose Camilla over my mother when she was alive, and now he's trying to protect her even after she's admitted to causing my mother's death. I don't care what he wants anymore." William stood, pacing. His mind was racing through scenarios, consequences, and the weight of what he now knew. "James, I need you to do something. Find Detective Jean-Claude Murat. He was one of the French investigators on the case. See if he'll talk, off the record. I want to know what evidence was dismissed or overlooked." "William, I'm going to find out the complete truth, every piece of it. And then I'm going to make a decision about what to do with it." After hanging up, Catherine approached him carefully. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that my mother's death has been used as entertainment and conspiracy theory fodder for 3 decades, while the woman actually responsible for it sat in palaces and wore tiaras and played queen." His voice cracked. "I'm thinking about Harry, who spent his entire adult life traumatized by that night. I'm thinking about how we taught George and Charlotte to honor their grandmother's memory while her killer sat at our family dinners. She didn't intend for Diana to die." William whirled on her. "Does that matter? She set the wolves on her. She created the circumstances that led to that chase. My mother died terrified and hunted, and Camilla made that happen." Catherine had no response. There was none to give. His phone lit up again. A text from Anne, his aunt. "We need to talk. I know things about that night, things I should have said years ago." William stared at the message. Even his father's sister had been keeping secrets. How deep did this conspiracy run? How many people had known or suspected and said nothing? He typed back quickly. "Tomorrow, Windsor, 9 a.m. The response came immediately. "I'll be there. William, I'm sorry. We all failed her." William set the phone down, his hands shaking. The web of lies was unraveling faster than he'd anticipated, and he had a sinking feeling that Camilla's confession was just the beginning. The paper trail. William's phone rang again. This time it was Charles. "Don't," William said coldly. "Please, son, we need to talk about this rationally." "Rationally? You want me to be rational about the fact that your wife killed my mother and you've known and said nothing?" "I didn't know. I swear to you, I only learned the full truth 3 days ago. Camilla confessed to me, and I immediately insisted she tell you. 3 days. You've known for 3 days, and you're just now." William couldn't even finish the sentence. "I'm done protecting her. I'm done protecting you. The truth is coming out. If you do this, you'll tear apart everything. The monarchy won't survive it. Then maybe it doesn't deserve to survive." William hung up. In the silence that followed, he made his decision. "I'm going to Paris," he told Catherine. "I'm going to find out everything. And then I'm going to hold a press conference and tell the world exactly what Camilla did." The private jet touched down at Le Bourget Airport at 9:30 a.m. on January 25th. William had barely slept, his mind consumed with images of that night, the tunnel, the wreckage, his mother's final moments. Jean-Claude Murat had agreed to meet, though he'd been cryptic on the phone. The former detective was now 71 years old, retired to a small apartment in the 16th arrondissement. He greeted William at the door with wary eyes. "Your Royal Highness." I wondered when someone would finally come asking the right questions. They sat in Murat's cramped living room, surrounded by books and old case files. The detective pulled out a worn folder. "The official investigation concluded it was an accident," Murat began. "Driver intoxication, excessive speed, paparazzi pursuit. All true factors, but there were elements that never sat right with me." "Like what?" William leaned forward. "The phone call that tipped off the photographers. We traced it to a London number, but the investigation was shut down before we could pursue it fully. Political pressure from above." Murat's eyes met William's. "We were told certain lines of inquiry were off limits if they led back to British royal connections." William's stomach turned. "They protected her. They protected Camilla even back then. I don't know that name specifically. But yes, someone with significant influence wanted certain threads left unpulled." Murat opened the folder. "There's also this, Henri Paul's bank account. The £30,000 deposit was flagged but never fully investigated. The money came through 3 different shell companies, making it nearly impossible to trace to its origin. But one of those companies had a registered address in Wiltshire. Wiltshire, William repeated. Camilla's family estate is in Wiltshire. I cannot prove a connection, but the timing, the location, the amount, it warrants questions that were never asked. Murat handed William another document. This is unofficial. My personal notes from interviewing the paparazzi photographers who were there that night. 3 of them mentioned receiving an unusually detailed tip, not just where Diana would be, but her estimated departure time, the likely route, even a suggestion that she wouldn't have heavy security. That level of detail requires inside knowledge. William's hands shook as he read the notes. Did you share this with your superiors? I did. I was told to focus on the driver and the pursuit. The tip was deemed irrelevant to the cause of the accident. Murat's voice hardened. But here's what haunts me, Your Royal Highness. If someone deliberately orchestrated that chase, knowing the route, knowing the reduced security, knowing the driver had been drinking, can we really call it an accident? The detective pulled out another file, this one thicker. There's more. After the official investigation closed, I continued looking into things privately. I found a pattern. Every major paparazzi incident involving Diana in the months before her death, someone had tipped them off. The gym photos, the yacht pictures, the restaurant harassment, all of it orchestrated. By Camilla, William said flatly. By someone with intimate knowledge of Diana's schedule and movements. Someone who had access to royal security briefings. Someone who knew exactly when and where Diana would be vulnerable. Murat paused. Your Royal Highness, this wasn't just about that one night. This was a sustained campaign of harassment that lasted months. And the final tip, the one that led to the chase, that was just the culmination of a pattern. Voices from the grave. The word hung between them like a guillotine blade. You're saying it was murder, William said quietly. I'm saying the evidence suggests premeditation. Whether the outcome was intended or not, that's manslaughter at minimum. Murder if you can prove intent. William walked to the window overlooking gray Paris. 29 years ago, kilometers from here, his mother had taken her last breath in a mangled Mercedes. Why tell me this now? Because I'm an old man with nothing to lose, and Princess Diana deserves justice. I've watched conspiracy theories swirl for 3 decades while real questions went unasked. William turned back. I need everything you have. Every note, every suspicion, every dismissed lead. You're really going to expose it all? My mother died as she lived, hunted, pursued, desperate for peace. If Camilla created that chase, if she's responsible for my mother dying in terror, then yes. I don't care what it costs. Murat pulled out more files. There's someone else, Françoise Dumas, a journalist who received anonymous packages in 1997 containing Diana's schedule, reservations, travel plans. She kept copies of everything. By the time William left Paris 8 hours later, he had evidence that would detonate the monarchy. A USB drive from Dumas contained scanned packages postmarked from London, each with details only someone within the royal household could have known. William returned to find Kensington Palace under siege. Someone leaked his investigation. The media was frenzied. Charles was waiting in William's office, truly afraid for the first time. What have you done? Charles demanded. What you should have done 29 years ago, finding the truth. You're opening doors that will destroy us all. Good. This institution protected Camilla while my mother was hunted to death. It suppressed evidence and let a murderer sit at state dinners. She didn't murder Diana, didn't she? She fed information to the paparazzi for weeks, likely paid the driver, created the exact circumstances that led to that chase. In any court, that's premeditation. Charles sank into a chair. Camilla will go to prison, as she should, and I'll be implicated as an accessory, as you should. Think about your children, the institution. There has to be another way. William leaned forward, deadly calm. My mother thought about her children every day. She loved Harry and me more than anything. She died alone and afraid because your wife decided creating a scandal was worth risking her life. There is no other way, only truth. James entered with Catherine. It started. Paris police leaked Murat's involvement. The press is calling it William's Truth Quest. Let them speculate, William said. There's more. Camilla tried to flee. She's at Heathrow, attempting to board a private flight to Switzerland. William's eyes went cold. "Stop her. She doesn't leave British soil until this is resolved." "You can't detain her. She's the Queen Consort," Charles protested. "She's a suspect in a potential manslaughter case. Watch me." Within an hour, Camilla was turned back. Images of her attempting to flee went viral. Public opinion turned sharply against her. That evening, Martin Bashir called. "I have recordings, conversations with Diana from 1997, weeks before she died. She told me she was being followed, that she believed Camilla was feeding information to the press. She was terrified." William listened to his mother's voice that night, trembling, exhausted, describing exactly what Camilla had admitted doing. Diana had known she was being hunted, and no one had protected her. He made his decision. The press conference would happen in 48 hours. Princess Anne arrived the next morning, looking older than William had ever seen her. "I should have told you years ago," she said. "I suspected. God help me, I suspected, and I said nothing." The public reckoning. Anne sat across from William in his private study, her usual stoic composure cracking. "In 1998, about 6 months after your mother died, I overheard Camilla on the phone. She was at Highgrove, thought she was alone. She was crying, talking to someone about how she never meant for it to happen, how she just wanted Diana embarrassed, not dead." Anne's voice shook. "I confronted her. She claimed I'd misunderstood, that she was talking about the affair becoming public, but I knew. Deep down, I knew she meant something more." "Why didn't you say anything?" William asked, trying to keep his voice level. "Because I had no proof, just an overheard conversation. And because—" Anne looked away, ashamed, "because I was afraid of what it would do to the monarchy, to Charles, to you and Harry. I told myself I was protecting you by staying silent." "You were protecting her," William said coldly. "Yes, and I've regretted it every day since." Anne met his eyes. "I'm willing to testify to what I heard. I'm willing to face whatever consequences come from my silence. Your mother deserved better from all of us." William's meeting with Anne changed everything. He now had a member of the royal family willing to corroborate that Camilla had admitted guilt, even if indirectly. The press conference couldn't wait. The press conference was held at Kensington Palace on January 28th at 11 a.m. Every major news organization in the world was present. William walked to the podium alone, carrying the weight of 3 decades of lies. "Thank you for coming," he began, his voice steady but filled with barely controlled emotion. "I'm here today to discuss new information regarding the death of my mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, on August 31st, 1997. The room was dead silent. For 29 years, we've been told her death was a tragic accident caused by paparazzi pursuit and an intoxicated driver. These factors were certainly present. But what has never been publicly acknowledged is the deliberate orchestration behind that chase." He paused, letting that sink in. 3 days ago, Camilla, Queen Consort, confessed to making phone calls to paparazzi photographers in the weeks and days leading up to my mother's death. These calls provided detailed information about my mother's whereabouts, her schedule, and her movements. Evidence suggests this may have extended to financial payments to individuals involved in the pursuit that night. Gasps erupted. Cameras flashed. William continued, his voice growing stronger. "I have spent the past 72 hours reviewing suppressed evidence from the original French investigation. I have recordings of my mother describing being stalked and pursued, naming Camilla as the source. I have financial records, phone logs, and testimony from investigators who were pressured to abandon certain lines of inquiry." He looked directly into the cameras. "My mother died in terror, hunted through the streets of Paris by photographers who had been deliberately directed to her location. She died while the person responsible for orchestrating that hunt enjoyed the protection of this institution. That ends today. I am calling for a full, independent investigation into my mother's death, with no interference from the royal family or the British government. I am calling for Camilla to face appropriate legal consequences for her actions, and I am calling for complete transparency about how this information was suppressed for nearly 3 decades. A reporter shouted, "Are you accusing Camilla of murder?" "I'm stating facts. Whether those facts constitute manslaughter, conspiracy, or another charge is for prosecutors to determine. But my mother deserves justice, and the world deserves the truth." "What about your father? Did King Charles know?" "My father learned the full truth 3 days ago. His decisions regarding that information are his to explain or defend. William stepped back from the podium. "I won't be taking questions today. The evidence speaks for itself." "Thank you." The world exploded. Within hours, calls for Camilla's arrest echoed across social media and news broadcasts. Protests formed outside Buckingham Palace. The British government issued terse statements about respecting judicial processes. Charles released a brief comment expressing his shock and sorrow, but notably didn't defend Camilla. By evening, Camilla had been taken into police custody for questioning. The images of her being escorted by officers dominated every screen worldwide. Harry called from California, his voice choked with emotion. "You did it. You finally did it. Mum would be so proud." William wasn't sure about that. He felt hollowed out, exhausted. But he'd told the truth, finally. The following days brought revelations that shook the nation to its core. Former palace staff members came forward, speaking anonymously about conversations they'd overheard, suspicious meetings they'd witnessed, and documents they'd been ordered to destroy. Each testimony added another layer to the conspiracy. A former aide to Camilla revealed that in the months following Diana's death, Camilla had suffered what appeared to be severe panic attacks, often waking in the night screaming about phones and cameras. The aide had assumed it was guilt over the affair becoming public. Now, the breakdown took on a far more sinister meaning. Financial experts began dissecting the shell company transactions. What they found was staggering. The network of offshore accounts didn't just connect to Henri Paul's payment. There were multiple transfers throughout 1997, each one corresponding to major paparazzi incidents involving Diana. The beach photos in St. Tropez, the gym photographs, the restaurant ambushes, all of them could be traced back to tips that originated from numbers linked to Camilla's inner circle. A forensic accountant working with William's team discovered something even more damning. The shell company in Wiltshire had been established in 1996, just as Diana and Charles's divorce was being finalized. Its sole purpose appeared to be funneling untraceable payments to media contacts. The paper trail was meticulous, clearly designed to hide the source, but the timing and amounts told a story of calculated harassment. The price of truth. 8 weeks later, William stood in a London courtroom as Camilla Parker Bowles, her title stripped pending investigation, was formally charged with conspiracy to harass and involuntary manslaughter in connection with Princess Diana's death. The evidence was overwhelming. Phone records, financial transactions, testimony from the French investigators, the recordings of Diana's fears, and most damaging of all, additional paparazzi photographers who came forward confirming they'd been paid and directed by someone matching Camilla's description. Henri Paul's deposit was traced definitively to one of the shell companies linked to Camilla's family holdings. Whether she'd intended for Diana to die or merely wanted to humiliate her became irrelevant. She'd created the circumstances that led to the fatal crash. Charles had abdicated 4 weeks earlier, unable to reconcile his position with his wife's crimes. He released a statement taking responsibility for failing to investigate thoroughly when he first had suspicions years ago. He retreated from public life entirely, a broken man destroyed by his own poor choices. William became Prince Regent, managing royal duties while the monarchy underwent unprecedented scrutiny. Polls showed the British public divided. 53% wanted the monarchy to continue with reform transparency. 47% wanted it abolished entirely. The trial was scheduled for September. Camilla faced up to 15 years in prison if convicted on all charges. The legal proceedings revealed details that made even hardened prosecutors uncomfortable. Text messages recovered from old phone records showed Camilla coordinating with a publicist about timing Diana's humiliation for maximum media impact. Emails discussed payment structures for photographers willing to be particularly aggressive. Witness after witness testified to seeing Camilla obsessively tracking Diana's movements, collecting intelligence, planning harassment campaigns. Most chilling was testimony from a former friend of Camilla's who described a conversation from July 1997. Camilla had allegedly said, "Diana needs to be taught a lesson. She needs to know what it feels like to be hunted." The friend had thought she was speaking metaphorically. The context now suggested otherwise. Princess Anne's testimony was particularly devastating. Under oath, She recounted the phone conversation she'd overheard, Camilla's breakdown, and her own failure to act. The courtroom was silent, as Anne, usually so composed, wept openly while describing her regret. But for William, the real resolution came on a quiet April morning when he visited his mother's grave at Althorpe with Harry, Catherine, and his children. "You were right, Mum," he said softly, placing white roses on the memorial. "You told everyone she was dangerous and no one listened. I'm sorry it took us so long to hear you." George, now 12, asked quietly, "Did great-grandma Diana know we'd find out the truth?" William knelt beside his son. "I think she hoped we would. She left enough clues, enough evidence. She trusted that eventually someone would care enough to look. And you did," Charlotte said, taking her father's hand. "We all did. As a family." Harry stood apart, staring at their mother's resting place. "I've been angry for 29 years, he said quietly. Angry at the paparazzi, angry at the driver, angry at everyone. But the person I should have been angry at was sitting at family dinners, wearing our grandmother's jewelry, playing Queen. We didn't know," William said, "but Mom knew. She tried to tell people, and they called her paranoid, unstable, attention-seeking." Harry's voice broke. "She died knowing the truth and being called crazy for it." Later, at Kensington Palace, William held a small, private ceremony. He'd commissioned a new statue of Diana, not the sad, haunted woman she'd become, but the vibrant, joyful mother she'd been when he and Harry were young. It was installed in the sunken garden, where she used to play with them. The plaque read simply, "Diana, Princess of Wales, beloved mother." Her truth finally told. The press coverage was respectful for once. The narrative had shifted from scandal to justice, from conspiracy to accountability. That evening, William received a handwritten letter forwarded through secure channels. It was from Camilla, written from custody. "I never meant for her to die. I was jealous, vindictive, desperate to win, but I never wanted her dead. I know you don't believe me. I know that doesn't matter now. I just needed to say it. What I did was unforgivable. I spent years telling myself it was just information, just photographs, that I wasn't really hurting her, but I was. Every tip I gave, every photographer I paid, every moment of terror I caused her, I did that, and then she died. And I had to live knowing I'd created the circumstances that killed her. I thought I could bury it, forget it, pretend it never happened. But it's eaten me alive for 29 years. I'll spend whatever time I have left knowing I destroyed the woman who should have been queen, and the mother who should have watched her sons grow old. I'm sorry doesn't begin to cover it, but I am. I'm so profoundly sorry." William read it once, then placed it in a folder with all the other evidence. It would be submitted to the court, not as exoneration, there was none to be had, but as complete record. The truth, all of it, preserved. In the weeks that followed, the monarchy began its transformation. William instituted sweeping reforms, full financial transparency, independent oversight of royal conduct, mandatory cooperation with law enforcement investigations. The days of protecting wrongdoing behind palace walls were over. Public opinion slowly shifted. The majority of Britons wanted the monarchy to continue, but only if it proved it could operate with integrity. William's unflinching pursuit of justice for his mother had earned him respect, even from Republicans who'd long called for abolition. The trial in September lasted 6 weeks. The prosecution presented a case so thorough, so damning, that Camilla's defense team could offer little rebuttal. On October 15, 2026, the jury returned a verdict, guilty on all counts. Camilla was sentenced to 12 years in prison. As she was led away, she looked at William one last time. He didn't look away, didn't flinch. He owed her nothing, not even his gaze. As the sun set over London that evening, William stood at his office window watching the city lights emerge. The path ahead was uncertain. The monarchy's future hung in the balance. But whatever came next would be built on honesty, not lies. His mother had always said that truth was the most powerful weapon against injustice. 29 years later, she'd finally been proven right. Catherine came to stand beside him, slipping her hand into his. "You did the right thing," she said quietly. "I did the only thing," William replied. "Mum deserved the truth. The world deserved the truth. And my children deserve to grow up in an institution that values justice over preservation." In the distance, lights illuminated the new statue in the sunken garden. Diana, forever young, forever smiling, finally at peace. The truth had set her free. The truth about Diana's death shattered everything we thought we knew about that tragic night in Paris. William's courage to expose Camilla's role changed the monarchy forever, proving that justice delayed isn't justice denied when someone refuses to stay silent. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is tell the truth, no matter the cost. What would you have done in William's position? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more revelations from inside the world's most scrutinized family.